right, guys, welcome to the Get to 20K call this morning. Going to take another go at hosting today, and today got a pleasure of bringing on another good buddy of mine. This last month, he did 20K in his first month here, and he was part-time. So I think his story is going to be great to learn from everybody here that are just starting or have been here a while and are still struggling to get that to that 20K point. So you there, Cameron? Can you hear us?
Yep, I can hear you just fine.
Awesome, man. Well, I'm excited to kind of pick your brain and kind of how you were able to do 20K part-time. That's a feat everyone tries to go after, and you did it while having another full-time job, which is awesome. So let's just jump right into it. But before we do, actually just kind of introduce yourself for people that don't know you, kind of give your background, where you came from, how you found family, first life, all that good stuff.
Yeah, so I'm Kameron Frame. I'm actually here from Wichita, Kansas, pretty much the same place where Colton's from. And actually, we both wrestled at Newman. He was there before I was there, but I heard about his success that he was doing on one of our trips while we were heading to a tournament in Nebraska. And I was like, well, actually, that I don't know what he's doing, but I kind of want in on it. So I actually waited a little while because I forgot to shoot him a message. But right before the end of wrestling season, I shot him a message and I was like, hey, what are you doing? And what does it take for me to start? And then pretty much from there, that's where the ball started rolling. So just been all aboard ever since then. Passed the exam, got licensed and started selling right away. So, and I come from an IT background. So I was working with another company, still working 30 hours a week with them while also doing this. So this was part-time for me, but in a sense, I was really full-time because I wanted it to replace my other job that I was already doing.
Right. So you were still in school full-time wrestling and then studying for your exam to kind of get out there going. How long did it take you to kind of from starting your exam or pre-licensing course to getting out in the field?
So when it came to studying for the exam, it took me about a week and a half or 2 weeks. I also did that, like you said, while I was still in school, trying to get ready for finals and everything and graduation. So I finished that up. And then maybe after a month of when I initially reached out to him and started studying and everything is when I actually started selling. So I think it was the beginning of May is when I kind of started all of the stuff. And then by the end of May is when I started selling, like the last week.
Gotcha.
So it took me about a month to actually get running and out in the field.
And so your first month here, you were technically part-time, but like you said, you were trying to put full-time hours. So you're I guess first, so you did 20K this last month. What did your schedule look like since you were quote unquote part-time? What'd that look like for you?
Part-time, it was a lot of hours. So, oh man, the 4th of July was the first day I've had off. Other than that, I've worked 12-hour days every single day, whether that be with my other job and going straight from there to here or vice versa. It was just consistent 12-hour days every day, but that's because I wanted to have numbers to stand on. When I told people about FFL and how amazing it was, I wanted to have something to back it rather than just showing everyone else's numbers.
Right. Yeah. So with your numbers, you did 20K. What do you think you spent in leads to do that?
It was probably roughly 6,000 or 7,000 if I had to guess. I mean, I don't even pay attention anymore, just because everyone talks about a constant lead flow. So anytime I can, I'm purchasing more leads just because I know the fact that it just makes the odds better for me that I'm going to profit. So if I have to go spend $250 one day randomly just because I see some leads in the CRM, I'll go ahead and do that. Or if there's a good deal going on because of work spots, I'll put in extra for something later on that I want to do that's maybe within the next week. So
Right.
I think it was roughly 6 or 7.
Okay. So you spent about 6 to 7 roughly. And what do you think you were deposited?
I think I had roughly 17,000 or 18,000 deposited in my account. It's a rough estimate, but I think it's somewhere around there.
Gotcha. Okay. So that's awesome. 100%. First month, a lot of times, like some people aren't always profitable. Like that's what's great about being here is if you absolutely put in the work to do that. And it's one of the few businesses you can start out and be profitable day one. And it comes to the people that put in the work to work through your leads and not be scared to continue to reinvest. That's so what are your, so now that are you essentially full-time now?
Yep.
So
this is my first full week of being full-time here.
So July's your first full-time month here, actually full-time. And so is your schedule changing whatsoever on when you're running to what you're doing now?
So I'm still going to work those 12-hour days every day, but it's all going to be straight to here rather than putting time towards the other company that I was working for. So I might take a Sunday off. That might be in the books because one day off out of the week, I don't think it's going to kill me. But yeah, I'm definitely going to try and still keep those same amount of hours that I was already putting in, just because I saw how well I did before. So why not continue that?
Right. And that's a lot of people's mistake, and that was a mistake I kind of made too. Is because I was kind of in your same boat. I was part-time 3 months in a row, and then I ended up quitting my full-time job, and then I was working the same amount of hours, and had the same result. And now that you're serious about putting those full 12 hours with FFL, I can't wait to see what you do in July, especially being a 5-week month at the end here where you're gonna be standing, because absolutely 5-week month, there's no reason you don't go do 30-40K plus. That's what's awesome when you put in the work to do that. So basically, because honestly, you basically live at the office. It's crazy. We got our cameras going off at like midnight. You guys are still here doing something work related. But because I think you even put more than 12 hours in here a day, but
yeah, I probably do, honestly.
So with and you being part-time, did that deter you from doing travel trips or anything like that? Or how were you able to do that?
I still have a crazy schedule, so I'll get in like 2 workouts before I come to work, and then I'll come work here all day. And if I need to, just like you said, doing those travel trips, just go to St. Louis or Kansas City or anywhere around here that's just a few hours away, that there's that lead flow that it's not that we don't get the same lead flow here. It's just there's a little bit different opportunities there. So that's why I like to go and travel and add those on. I think each weekend, especially, I'm trying to travel, and as Brandon Kitchens always says, is stack the deck in your favor. So that's what I'm trying to do.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So now that you are actually, let's kind of go into your before we get into your schedule. I kind of just want to jump into kind of your phone script. I kind of like your phone script. So I guess let's start with, what's your phone script look like, or sound like, I should say.
It's pretty simple, and it's right here, but I don't really need to read off it. But hey, Colton, Hey, Colton, this
Yeah.
is Kameron Frame. I'm just giving you a call here from our office here in Sedgwick County. I'm actually just getting back to you about the life insurance request form you filled out online. I actually just need to verify some information you listed. You listed your date of birth as blah, blah, blah. And I always like to mention the date of birth first because sometimes the address is off. So then your credibility goes down once that's already been shot at. But if you give them their birth date, then it's like, okay, yeah, this is me. I filled this out. And then, all right, perfect. Is that your address at blah, blah, blah? All right, perfect. So again, my name is Kameron Frame. I'll just let you know that we did get that request and that I'm actually just the licensed agent assigned to deliver some information to you and just go through a quick eligibility check. So it's all non-medical. So what that means is there's no blood or urine samples or anything like that. Basically, the carriers just have me verify that ID and make sure no one has you strapped down to a hospital bed full time or anything crazy like that, okay? So it takes about 10 to 15 minutes. Now, Colton, are you still working full time or are you retired or disabled?
Retired.
Retired. All right. Perfect. I'll take a note of that. And then Colton, are you single, married, widowed, or divorced?
Married.
Married. All right. Okay. So what time do you and your spouse usually get in the door?
5.
5. All right. So Colton, I'm actually dispatched on your area tomorrow. I'm seeing about 12 other families. It looks like you actually have an opening at 5:30 p.m. Is there any reason that you and your spouse shouldn't be home at 5:30?
Yeah, we should be.
Should be. All right. I'm going to go ahead and write you down for 5:30 because I want to make sure that slot doesn't get filled before we can get you in there. I just want to verify that address again with you. That's 123 North Main Street. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Perfect. So again, my name is Kameron Frame. Do you have a pen and paper handy?
I do.
All right. Perfect. Let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready.
All right. Once again, my name is Kameron Frame, Kameron, and then frame like picture frame. So if you need to remember anything, you can remember picture frame. Okay.
Got it.
All right. And I'm actually a pretty young guy with some ugly ears from wrestling. So you won't be able to miss me. So I look forward to seeing you tomorrow at 5 p.m. Okay.
Sounds
5:30.
good.
All right, Colton. And that's pretty much how it goes. I mean, obviously, sometimes I tweak it. I'll throw in a little bit extra joke or anything like that. But
right. That's
anything that makes them laugh or anything.
Right. Yeah. And you just make it real unique to yourself because no one else there is going to have cauliflower ear or something like that. So that's going to be over the top. So it's and yours are pretty rough too. So they'll definitely notice you. And it's yeah, just poking fun at yourself, and that's what makes people laugh, and that's what makes people remember you, and then they in turn remember the appointment. Because a lot of times you want to avoid those no shows or people not remembering you or just totally forgetting about it.
Yeah. And I actually had one mid appointment. She's looking at me and she's looking at me all day, and I was like, what's she looking at? And then she's like, you weren't joking. You really do have some ugly ears. I was like, thank you.
That's funny. So
I forgot I even said it to her.
Right. So obviously, that was a perfect scenario. I basically just had like a check stapled to my forehead. I didn't give you any objections, anything like that. But
yeah.
What do you do when people are giving you objections? Or I guess what are the main objections that you're seeing, and how are you overcoming them?
So a common one, I kind of stole this from Jake one day because we used to share an office. So a lot of times you'll get people that say, oh, well, I got that taken care of. So if they say that, I like to say, oh, was that over the phone or in person? So we can just mark that in our system. And they say 9 times out of 10, it's usually over the phone. And then I just like to say, all right, perfect. So just when I get there, make sure you have the policy ready, because 9 times out of 10, the families I sit down with, we're actually able to find a higher face amount for a lower monthly premium because we do have those discounted rates. So is that something you'd be interested in? So I say that because who wouldn't be interested in having a better policy?
Right. And that's really good with any objection too, because you're acknowledging the objection, then you're asking a question. And you're not really giving them room to come in with another rebuttal or another objection. What do you,
Mm.
so that's obviously, I think what everyone obviously gets that. What do you say when they said they didn't fill it out? Do you give up?
They didn't fill it out. No, I don't give up. I just kind of ignore it. I'm like, oh yeah, that's pretty weird. It looks like the address you listed, and I always say you listed, because that way it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I did do that, rather than, yes, someone put it an address as blah, blah, blah. But I mean, that's why I just like to say you listed this, and then I just continue with it, just straight back into the appointment. And I actually sold one last week that I said something like that, or I was like, yeah, it's strange. I mean, honestly, I forget what I had for lunch most days, so I don't blame you if you don't remember. And then I just continued with it, and I ended up selling one. The lady was like, yeah, I guess I might have filled it out one time when I was asleep. Yeah, I do stuff like that a lot. I was like, perfect. And we ended up getting her CBO 100 and protecting her family.
Awesome. That's, and that's, I think, what everyone needs to take away from that in the phone scripts, because you're obviously going to get all of these objections. Everyone's getting the objections. Nothing's really changing. You're getting the already got it taken care of. I didn't fill it out. Not interested. All these different things. But you were able to confront the person, overcome the objection, not taking no for an answer, and then actually going out helping somebody that really needed it.
Mm-hmm.
Some people think they give up on these leads, or they don't like the leads as much, because they take what they tell you over the phone for truth, and when it's really not. These people need our help, but it's weird how we are really wired nowadays. Like we don't really want to ask for help. People don't want anyone coming over to their house anymore, especially because of COVID. But no one wants anyone coming over to their house. And it's funny, the people that give you the most objections or are rude on the phones are like the biggest buyers out there, it seems. Those are the people that really need it. And if you can overcome these objections, and you can get in those places, and you can be even that more profitable by overcoming these objections. Because a lot of people, they're not where they want to be, is because they feel like they can't overcome these objections, or they can't say the right things. But after you slowly get better and better and better, you're just that much more profitable. And that's why I think you were able to go out there and do 20K your first month and be as profitable as you were. Any other little tips on your phone script?
It's really just being quick with it. Because if you do that slight pause, they know that like you're not confident in the fact that they filled it out or anything along those lines. Because if you're certain that they filled it out, just like a lot of people are better with something like a final expense mail-in or mortgage statement mail-in, stuff like that, because they know for sure this person filled it out. But I think a lot of people forget that these internet ones is they filled it out too. So you just got to be quick and confident that, hey, it's just my job to get this information to you.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So I guess jumping into your kind of your in-home, what's that look like? And I think you have it down. I think you've hit your 100 appointment, or do you think you've hit your first 100 appointments yet? 6?
If I had to guess, yeah, or at least very close to that. If it's not,
yeah. So I guess what's your in-home look like now?
The full thing, or just some tweaks that I've made?
So kind of go over the beginning. Yeah, let's just kind of roll through, like, after you get in there, what do you do with your in-home? Like, you're sitting down at the table, or you're sitting at the couch, and kind of take it from there.
A lot of them will try and sit at the couch. I'm like, hey, do we have a table we can go ahead and sit at? It just makes it easier for me to go ahead and present this stuff to you, and I got to write some stuff down. And sometimes there isn't a table, which you can't control that. So I've done appointments pretty much anywhere and everywhere. But we take a seat at the table, and when we sit down, I'm like, hey, first off, I just want you to know who you're working with. So I pull up my license and hand it to them. I'm like, my name's Kameron Frame. Feel free to take a picture of that at any point. I honestly recommend it. Just so that way you just feel more secure about who you're working with. And after that, I hand them think that all carriers say or a brokerage. We have 20 plus A-rated carriers that we work with. That allows us to shop around and find something that fits your budget and needs. Okay. And then after that, I'm like, okay. And this was a big tweak that I made that I heard from a bunch of other podcasts and videos that other people were doing. So I tell them, all right, so how this appointment's going to go. I'm going to spend 2 minutes asking medical questions because our stuff is non-medical. How we get you approved is based off prescription history and medical history. Then after that, I'm going to spend 2 minutes asking about personal and financial questions because I'm here to help you, not to hurt you. So I want to make sure everything I show you is within your price range. Then following up with that, I'm going to show you 3 options. Once we find one that fits your needs, we're going to put in an application today and see if we can get you approved, okay? And then just continue with it from there. And then out there, after that, I pull out the credibility sheet. I'm like, here's a sheet that we're going to go ahead and fill out. What's your name, blah, blah, blah. Just run through the sheet. And after that, another big tweak I made that it was a mistake I was making, that I would show them their options before fully explaining them. And that was a big tip that you gave me, that don't show them the numbers until you explain it to them first. And once you explain it to them, remember to ask, are there any questions about the options I'm about to show you or anything along those lines? Just so everything's cleared off the table, like nothing's going to ruin this, and they already know what they're working with before you show them the numbers. I think that was a huge change that helped me a lot.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, because it was kind of crazy. What's your because I remember you were like in the middle of the month. I think you were around or you were like the third week of the month, I believe, and you were at like, I think 7 or 9K, and then
yeah,
you made that little tweak, and then that weekend you went out and wrote, I think, 9-10 grand.
It ended up being like 12, I think. But
12
yeah,
grand.
Yeah.
Even crazier. And you kind of credit it to just making that little tweak.
Yeah, it was showing the numbers after explaining it, and then also just telling them from the start about the appointment, about saying, hey, I'm going to spend 2 minutes asking about medical questions. I'm going to spend 2 minutes asking about personal and financial questions. And then after that, I'm going to show you 3 options, and we're going to put in an application today. So that way it gets objections out of the way from the start.
Gotcha. Right. Yeah. So, and what changed in you? Is it just you having more confidence to have the confidence of telling them what you're going to do? What changed, and what I guess what allowed you to make that change, and what prevented you from doing that in the beginning?
I just don't think I ever thought about it in the beginning. I know I had heard it in other podcasts before, but after speaking with you guys and everyone was saying, look, I do this in my appointment, I was like, okay, that's definitely something I'm missing. So we're going to add it and see what it does. And I don't think it really had to do a confidence thing, but it does boost your confidence when you tell them that, because you're already laying out the appointment and taking control from there. Because you'll have the times where people get up and walk away and stuff like that. But this kind of just sets a standard that, hey, we're going to make it quick. We're going to make it easy. We're going to do this, and then we put an application following all of that.
Right. And I think you're at where you are now. Like you've hit your 100 appointments, and that's what we always tell people. It's just, you're going to find something that works for you. So kind of listen to everybody and take your bits and pieces from everyone and make it your own. Mm-hmm. and make those tweaks when you need to. But when you figure out what's working, keep it the same. Because now, like my in-home does not change at all. Like I bet yours is like down to kind of your own science now. Like you know what you're going to do. You're going to keep control, and it should be very repetitive on every appointment. It's very repetitive about like what your like the appointment's going to change on the questions, but your beginning and how you tell them the appointment's going to go, that should be the same every time. And a lot of people will want to change when they hear another top producer say something else. But if you're already out there writing 20, 30, 40K a month, like do with what works, and you don't have to change something that's already working. Mm-hmm. I think that's another mistake people will make, and they lose out on sales, is continuing trying to change when you don't necessarily need to. But absolutely, the setting the stage, I guess, in the beginning of the appointment, letting them know how it's going to work, what we're going to do today, what you're going to need. But yeah, so that's awesome. And what do you say? What do you think really what do you think sets top producers apart from people that are only out there doing like the 5, 10K? Because honestly, like, we all know everyone can do this, but why does it seem some people struggle versus others?
I think it's kind of just the consistency and confidence in it. Because once you get one sale, I mean, I don't know if this goes for the same with you, but I'll go into my next appointment acting perfectly fine. I think it's just because, like, I don't know, they can read your body language and how you appear. If you seem desperate, then they're like, this guy's a salesman. Like, you don't want to come off that way. And obviously you're just happier and like you're more controlled, I feel like, after you get one going. And you just got to remind yourself that, hey, they requested this information, and I'm just bringing it to them and laying it out there to make it easier for them, rather than them having to do the shopping around. I'm going to do that for them. So this is what I get paid to do, so I'm just going to go ahead and do this today. And it's just also being consistent with the leads that you're purchasing, continuing to put that money in for the leads and continuing to make those dials as many as you can, whether that be on phone burner or hand dialing. And then I think a big thing is whenever you first get started, because I had a really rough second week. It was my lowest week. And I think that was because obviously I made some good sales my first week. And then I was skeptical to purchase more leads because it hadn't hit my bank account yet and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a little scary at first, where it's like, hopefully this goes through before they end up like canceling or anything like that. But that was my lowest week because I didn't reinvest back into leads. And I did, but very minimal, because I was like, oh, we're just going to try and keep working these leads, when that's going to hurt you even more. So it's just being all in and being willing to invest that money and see the returns. They're going to come. It's just, you have to stay confident and trust in the system that's already laid out for everyone.
Right. So kind of on that, like, what would you say to somebody and that is like, they feel like they're putting in the work, they feel like they're investing the money, but they're not as profitable as they would like to be? What would you say in that situation if you're trying to if you're talking to a new agent that's scared to continue reinvesting in leads because they're not as profitable as they thought they would be?
It's just really having trust in it. I mean, in all the podcasts that I watched, everyone kept saying, like, I sucked at first, and I still do not consider myself good at this at all. Not yet. And it's just being confident that, yeah, there's gonna be that moment where you break over that, you break through, you overcome the hardest part of it, and then the ball just gets rolling. And the success continues to come in, and you continue to get better at it and feel more confident in the home, and you're quicker with your appointments, you're better on the phone. It's just staying consistent, because it's gonna pay off. There's not a single doubt about that, because I'm brand new to this. I've never sold anything. I worked IT before this, and before that I did groundskeeping, so I mowed lawns. So obviously I have zero experience in sales yet. I mean, so far I've been pretty successful for the most part, and I'm loving it.
Right. That's what's awesome. And I've got a couple more questions, and guys, we are going to open this up to some more Q&A here in a minute. So definitely feel free to put those in the chat, and we'll ask those here in a second. But yeah, kind of back to what you were, kind of what you're saying is, you're not always going to be super profitable, and like, because you saw that in your very first week here. Like, you made a little bit of money, but it didn't hit your bank account because it was your first couple sales. So those ones take obviously longer to get paid on your first sales than the rest. And then your second week dipped because you were trying to rework those leads, or you only bought like 10 or 20 leads for the week, I got 10 or 20 new ones, and then I'll work all the other ones I haven't answered. And then you had a rough second week, but then come week 3, you realized your mistake. And that's like, you learned your mistake quickly. A lot of people will run through that and be stubborn, but you weren't. Week 3, you spent, I think, over $1,500 on some leads, and then you went out and, like you said, you wrote 12 grand, which is crazy. So that's what I always try and tell people. Consistency is, I think you hit that right on the head, is key to everything. Consistently getting better, consistently down, consistently working. It's when you take those days off or the weekends off, and then you try and come back, and then you're behind, and it's hard to really get ahead. But if everyone's on here 90 days all in, that's what we always say, 90 days all in, and then look up at that 90-day mark on what you spent on leads and what was deposited, not your very first week. Because like you said, your first week, you're going to be at your very worst.
Well, and it's your slowest time of getting any of those payments. And so it's the scariest time, because you're brand new to it. You don't know. And you're just thinking, what if, I don't know if I'm the only one that thought this, but like, what if this person cancels before I even get paid? So then I did all that work and I got nothing. But I mean, it's just having trust that it came in. And the second I did get those payments, I was like, I'm not making that mistake again. So I put it right back into some leads.
Right. Exactly. That's awesome. So let's see what we got. So first question here. How important do you think it is for you to work out of an office, being able to have a quick conversation with someone like Colton or Jake in moments notice, versus if you were doing this from home? How's that been to your advantage?
I think that's been huge. That's the number one reason why I decided to rent an office space, because I knew that there's going to be so many times that I have questions. I'm brand new to this. I have no experience in this, that I could always text you, but it's not the same as if I can just walk over, knock on your door, and just say, hey, this is going on. I don't understand this, or what should I do here? And it's just a huge difference. And same with even me and Jake, when we were dialing in the same office, we were just taking tips and tricks. Like I said, I stole so many different sayings or phrases to say to overcome objections from him. And I'm sure it's vice versa, where he's grabbed some of the things that I say, where it's like, oh, that's pretty good. Because sometimes I'd put the phone down and just listen to him for a second. Or if I heard some objections, I'd just listen in and just be like, I guess that's a pretty good way to overcome that. And then I just tried it. It's just trial and error. So having someone like you or Jake or anyone like that has been here before, it's huge, especially when you're brand new.
Right. And I think that's what's great about work spots, is the opportunity we have for people to come in and have an office. And that's what we kind of created here, but getting in an office wherever you're at in the country, because you and both Jake come down to my office like multiple times a day. I think you already have like 3 times this morning before hopping on this call. And and those conversations are way more detailed than versus a text. And then phone calls, because I mean phone calls are sporadic, and when schedules line up and everything like that. And I think that's been huge for you guys. You guys having your doors open, you're dialing, you're touching off each other of like, your scripts and stuff like that. Because even I don't know if it was you or Jake, and I can hear you guys' scripts too. And I meant to mention this when we were going over the scripts, but I think it's good still to mention now. But when I don't know if it was you or them, but it's like, I already got it taken care of. It's like, and then just saying, perfect, I'm actually seeing about 5 different people that already have it taken care of. So I'm going to be helping them. So just have that policy out, and I can see if I can put you in a better situation as well. And you basically just tell them you're coming over.
And just ignore it, what they just said, pretty much.
Right. And that's how everybody learns off of each other and how we continue to grow. But when we don't reach out, we don't have, when we're stuck down at home because we're scared that someone might think that we're terrible on the phones or something like that. Those are the people that don't grow. So I got another one from Robert. So what kind of leads do you buy?
I mainly purchase instant new internet, 1-month-old internet, stuff like that. That's mainly what we can get in our backyard. And I've ordered ones from different vendors on for like Facebook final expense ones, but I just prefer the ones in our CRMs a lot more. And it's not that the sales are even higher on them. I think I have the same profitability with them. It's just that they come in right away, that I know if I see them in there, they're going to be in my, I'm going to have those leads in the next 5 minutes, rather than with some of the other lead vendors that take 2 weeks to get a full batch of leads in. So they're still good. I still like those ones too, but if you need leads right away, the CRM is the way to go.
Right. So you're just saying you're not special. You're running leads that everyone else is running out there. You're just, I mean, I think the moral of the story is that you're putting in the work that's necessary, whether it's 12 hours a day or more. You're on the phones as long as it takes. So another one here is from Roderick Jackson. Do you submit the MIB before showing the options, or do you show options and hope they qualify based on their health answers?
Well, if I need to, I'll do the MIB check first, but most of the time, I mean, after you've been in most of those appointments, and I still ask Colton on so many different appointments, and I'm like, hey, what should I show here? Because there are times that like there's certain medications and stuff that are iffy, but for the most part, I'll just show them the options. And if they have a bunch of stuff they're taking or a bunch of medical history, then yeah, I'll do a pre-check before showing them numbers. But typically it's not that big of an issue to go ahead and show them numbers first and then work from there.
Got it.
Of course, okay. There's a time and a place.
Right. Yeah. So kind of all depends. And so got another one here. So when you were brand new and everyone said you need to do the 20K number, was it a big number that you thought was a tough challenge? And now that you have hit it, how simple was it?
Oh, that's tough. I mean, yeah, it seems really big at first, but I mean, even right now, I think for July, and I still haven't ran my appointments for today and tomorrow, but I'm already at 1,100 AP submitted so far. So I just plan to keep going up. And I did, like he said, I did the 20K while still working my other job. So it's not easy, and it's simple, but it's not easy. So it is a lot of work. You got to work for it. But once you get going, I just think it gets easier and easier. I plan to hit 30, 40K this month. So it's just continuing to go up and use that as a stepping stone. Like, oh, that was cool, but now we're never going to go down from there.
Right. Exactly. That's the right mindset to have. Is it seems daunting for some people, but honestly, anyone here with real bills, 15K and below is broke. Like, yeah, you're getting your bills paid, but like 100% transparency, like 15K a month, like take into account your chargebacks, because that's part of the business. Take into account your lead costs, and to be able to continue to reinvest in leads. You got bills at home. If you got a family, like you're just getting by with 15K.
Plus, that's only the 9-month advance. So you're not getting all 15K if you're writing 15K. I mean, you will eventually, hopefully, but.
Right. And that's why 20K, and everyone's doing it because you have to be profitable. And then the next stage is obviously building a business. But in being able to put back in your business, everything like that. So that's why I think it's definitely a mindset shift. And now that you've hit the 20K, it's like, that's not that difficult. That's that's pretty normal. And that's why I think it's not, yeah, anybody can do it. It's just how much work are you willing to put into it to do it? And what are you willing to give up? Whether it be social life, staying up watching Netflix, drinking, whatever that thing is for that person. But what's one tip for any brand new agent starting out would you give them if you had a brand new agent first week in the field? What's that major tip you'd give them?
Don't be afraid to ask for help. I think that's a huge thing, is being upfront with your upline and saying, hey, I'm struggling here, or if you need to run through a scenario with them where you've been struggling, or like show them your in-home, everything you do and stuff like that. It's just figuring out where you need to work on something and then actually taking the actions necessary to fix that. I think that's a huge thing, is closed mouths don't get fed. So if you don't ask for help, no one's going to know you're struggling and they're not going to be able to help you.
Yeah, that's good. That could be the difference maker. And I try to tell people that too. It's the people that ask the most questions are the most successful here. And just because you're struggling, that doesn't mean you should feel embarrassed that you're not as good as somebody else. And it's not really, the leaderboard isn't necessarily there to you see someone at the very top of the leaderboard, but you're only doing 5-10K a month. You should be looking at, you're getting your name on the leaderboard and just competing with yourself every single day and getting better every single day and reaching out and getting better at those objections, getting better at having more confidence with yourself and more confidence of buying more leads and everything like that. And you kind of answered that, but Robert's got another question. How often do you call your manager while you're in the home?
Still, it's gone down a little bit, but there are times where I've called Colton 4 or 5 times in one appointment, especially when I was brand new in that first week. So I was like, okay, this popped up on the application. What do I do here? Because I mean, I'm honest with everyone in the appointment. Like even today, I still tell them, like, look, I'm not a pro at this. I'm pretty new to this. I'm young. Obviously, you can tell I'm 22. So it's not like I've been doing this for 10 years. So it's blatantly obvious that there's no way I've been doing this for a super long time. And if I need to, I just tell them, I'm like, hey, I think in almost every appointment too, I say, hey, look, I'm going to go ahead and send a picture of this over to my senior underwriter. Make sure we're getting in the right hands. I think I know exactly where we're going to go, but I just want to get confirmation. Okay. And they appreciate that because you're honest with them. And then if there are any hiccups or any issues while I'm running through the appointment, I've called Colton. Like I said, there's been appointments where I've probably called them like 5-6 times and I'm like, I don't know what's going on here. Or like, what do I need to do here?
Right. And but it's because you weren't scared to reach out and continue to ask for help, because you could have lost a couple sales if you felt like you were only allowed to call me once. Like we all are here to we all get paid very well to help each other. Mm-hmm. So that's why you want to continue to reach out. Like, I mean, I don't know if it's just you, but for some reason you always got an appointment at like 10 p.m. at night. And you're calling me and it's like 10:30. I'm like, are you still in the house? She's like, yeah, I'm trying to finish this up, but got this and that. And it's but it's because you're putting in the work and you're not afraid to go out there and book an appointment at 9 p.m. And it's crazy. People are willing to do that.
Well, and I might have booked the appointment at 8 p.m., but I got backed up because I'm not as fast as maybe you are in home. Well, I'm still going to show up because I told them I'm going to be there. So I'm going to show up. Obviously, don't show up at 11 p.m., but still show up. If you said you're going to be there, I said I'm going to be there. So I show up. We're going to run through it. I'm going to give you just the time of day that anyone else, whether they booked the appointment at 1 p.m. or at 8 a.m., because they deserve the best service, I guess you can say. Because the last thing I want to do is cut someone short and just be like, well, it's late, so we're just going to put in this application. Like, I don't really care. I just want to get home, because there are times where I left homes at 11 at night, and I still had a 3.5 hour to get home.
Right. Yeah. And you did that on your big travel trip, but it was worth the 12 grand that you made. Like, you're getting done at midnight, 3-hour drive home. Then you had to wake up and go to work your full-time job on Sunday. So
it's 12-hour day the next day.
Right. How much time did you, from Brandon Kitchens, how much time do you spend on product training before running your first appointments?
None really. I mean, obviously I went to the boot camp and I tried to study the stuff, but you don't ever get a full understanding and grasp of everything until you start writing those products and you see that, like, oh, well, this person has COPD, so we're going to write them blah, blah, blah. And it's just figuring out once you're in home, because you can tell someone a million times what some product can be written for and what it can't be. But until you're hands-on training with it and in home, then you're still not going to know. I mean, you can study it as much as you want, but you just got to get out there and start writing. And that's when you start learning and sitting on those appointments. And those first 90 days and those first 100 appointments, like everyone always says, that's when you start seeing everything. And oh man, if I've seen some stuff, I've had the craziest appointments, but I don't know, it pays off. Obviously it does pretty well.
Right. That's awesome. Yeah, because it's not necessarily, you don't have to learn everything, because that's what your upline's for, your manager, when you're calling in the house. We got another one from Robert. So he's asking, how long do your appointment take? Let me rephrase that for him, but in the beginning, I guess, how long was your appointments in the beginning, and how long does it take now?
Oh man, my first appointment I went to, it was the craziest first appointment anyone could ask for. Super loving and super nice people. I was probably there for 4 hours.
So, you weren't? Seriously?
No, actually, it was probably about 4 hours. I got there at, I think, like 6 p.m., left at like 10 p.m. because we had to put in multiple applications where I'm like, look, we're getting you covered today. I'm brand new at this. And I told them from the start, I'm brand new, but we're getting you coverage. I didn't schedule this appointment for nothing. So we're going to finish it all up. And now, I mean, obviously, I still might have an appointment that takes a couple hours because they want to know what they're getting into, and they deserve every right to ask as many questions as they want. But then at the same time, I have appointments that I'm in and out of there within 45 minutes and making $1,000 right there, just because they know what they want. I know where to put them. So just right away, we just run through it real quick, and they know what they're working with.
Right. So that's why it's not getting caught up on being in a house super long. Obviously, being in a house for 3-4 hours, that's a little excessive even on your first one, but that just goes to show, like, you're going to continue to get better, and that's why
and you just take more control of the home, because on that first appointment they were walking around trying to make dinner and stuff, going outside, and I'm like, oh man, can you just come sit back down please so we can knock this out?
Right. So you just have a lot more confidence, is kind of what you're saying.
Yeah, you start taking that control by starting the appointment saying, hey, this is how it's going to go. So that way they're not asking questions mid-appointment. They're like, well, what are we doing next? Be like, well, we already discussed this. This is how it's going.
Mm-hmm.
And knocks that out of the way before it even gets brought up.
Gotcha. I've got another question for you real quick. So when you're in the house, you already explained that you explain the options before you show them to them, and then you show them the options. Like, so what special sales technique do you have that you're getting these people to buy? Do you show one option, 3 options, 12 options? What do you do?
I show 3 options each time. And if I have to, I'll show them more if they're honest and they're like, because everyone always tells you they have more money left behind than they always do. Or even then, even if they do have it left behind, they don't want to spend that much sometimes. So I'll be like, okay, look, that's okay. I like that you're being honest with me. We'll go look at a cheaper rate. We'll adjust the coverage, do whatever we need to do to fit your budget and needs. Because like I said, that's why I'm here. I'm here to help you, not to hurt you. So I always show 3 options, and I try not to show more, but usually within 3 options, you can find something that fits their need. And that's why I also like to ask at the beginning of the appointment, like, do you have an idea of what you're looking for coverage wise, or why am I here? Am I here for burial and final expense? Are we wanting to add more coverage? Like, do you already have something in place, or are you wanting to leave money behind for kids? Because obviously we can knock out 2 birds with 1 stone by saying, hey, we can put in a higher coverage where we can cover those burial and final expense while also leaving some money behind for your children. Because who doesn't want to leave something behind for their kids?
Right. Gotcha. Okay. And then, so with the 3 options, do you just kind of leave it out there and just basically ask them what they want, or do you say anything special?
I mean, once I show it to them, I explain a little bit more. This is, like I said, this one has the accidental death rider, living benefits, stuff like that. And then I'm like, okay, of these 3, which one fits your needs? And I have them circle it. So once they circle it, I'm like, okay, we're going to put an application.
Okay. So you're not special. You just make them pick.
Well, what if I think about it? Yeah, I just make them pick. So once they pick, we're starting the application day. And even then you might still get some objections like, oh, what if I want to think about it? Well, perfect. We have a 30-day free look period where we can raise the coverage, lower the coverage, or swap it. That gives us 30 days to work with that.
Right. Yeah. I think that's good to mention, because everybody wants to think about it. Everybody, but that's still another one that you're going to have to overcome. Otherwise, you're going to be giving everybody your card and no one's going to be calling you back. You're never going to get back in that house again.
And there's been so many times where I thought I'm gonna get a call back because they're like, oh no, he's for sure giving you a call tomorrow. And I'm like, Colton, like, they seem pretty convincing. Like, I might get a call back. And you're like, no. And I never did. I've gotten 1 call back ever.
Yeah.
And I left 5 minutes down the road and he's like, hey, can we come back and put in an application? I was like, yes, we can. So.
Yeah. Oh, tell that story, because didn't you make them sign the decline form?
Yeah, so that was another thing I changed. Because I would say, I need you to sign the decline of coverage, because they're probably not going to send me back out here. But instead of saying probably, I said, look, they're not going to send me back out here, so I'm going to need you to sign this for decline of coverage for now and future. So he did that, and he stared at it for a while, and he's like, you're not going to come back out here? I was like, no, they're not going to send me back out here. So he signed it. I left, and I'm 5 minutes down the road from him. And he had a really good one because he was a very healthy guy and he was young. So obviously it was a CBO 100, paying his home off 5 years early. So we did that, and he called me back. He's like, hey, is there any way you can come back here and we can put an application? I was like, yeah, give me about 5 to 10 minutes and I'll be back there and we can go ahead and start that for you. But that's the only time I've gotten a call back. But that was a crazy one that I was like, wow, it actually worked.
Yeah. And that's because of the decline of coverage. And it's not, because they still have the 30 days to think about it, but that will create more sales just in that, because I've had the same situation, not necessarily where I completely left and they called me back, but where they see that, where like they don't want to decline the coverage, so they just our job to get them approved. And then,
well, yeah, because even whenever they're saying I want to think about it, they're not meaning in the sense that they want to decline the coverage, because they filled it out for a reason. They want coverage. It's just they're like, oh, I don't know. When it's really just, I want to think about it and I want to see if I can get it cheaper. But I mean, most of the time they're not getting it cheaper. They're just getting lied to about what the benefits are and stuff like that.
Exactly. But I'm glad you mentioned that, because I completely forgot about you when you made that sell. But that's, a lot of people make that mistake in the very beginning. These people are very convincing that we sit with, and they're just being nice. They just don't want to be. They don't be mean to you. Yeah, I'm absolutely going to give you a call back. Call me back next week. We'll set something up. But the chances of that happen are very slim. So you can't rely on that. And these people just need someone that cares enough about them and about their family that you're willing to confront them, and not taking I need to think about it as a real reason. That's not a reason at all. That's an excuse for the day. But sitting with somebody that's 60 years old, has nothing in place, they've been thinking about it for over 20 years plus. So let's quit thinking about it and let's go with the cheapest option. You have 30 days to think about it. If you want to up it, we can.
Yeah.
And just caring more about them than they do. Because they obviously care about it, but they want to continue to think about it, or they want to continue to shop around, that type of thing. But that's what the 30 days is for. But any last words of wisdom, any nuggets you want to leave everybody with before we get out of here?
Just on that note, just not being afraid to be honest with them. That's why you're there. This is your job. It's to help find them coverage and make them realize why they fill out the form. Because even once you get in home, a lot of people forget, like a lot of them just had a relative pass away recently. It's just reiterating the fact that, hey, you know you need the coverage. That's my job, to shop around and find something that fits your budget and needs. So let's see if we can get you approved. Because even if it were up to me, I still don't know if these numbers are gonna fit you, because we don't know if you're approved yet. So why don't we see if we can get you approved, and then we have 30 days where we can think about it.
Right. Yeah, that's good. Well, I don't think we have any more questions from anyone else. So I do appreciate you for jumping on with us, Cameron, especially on your run day. I know you got some appointments coming up real quick. So appreciate everything that you shared with everyone today. And please, anybody, we're all here to help each other win. So please reach out to either me or Cameron. I know Cameron would be willing to get on the phone with anyone struggling to get to 20K. He would more than happy to share with you what he did and go in more detail with you and answer any questions. So again, thanks, Cameron, and let's all go have a killer week.